So Jonathan Majors sat down with an ABC reporter after the verdict came down. He's awaiting sentencing. He's very anxiously awaiting sentencing. He had some thoughts about the trial, what he went through, pre and post trial.
He was on his way to becoming one of Hollywood's brightest stars, with acclaim for his dramatic performances and a promising future as a Marvel villain. But now actor Jonathan Majors is facing the possibility of up to a year in jail after a conviction on misdemeanor reckless assault and harassment in connection with an altercation involving his then-girlfriend. He sat down exclusively with me for his first interview since his arrest, discussing the relationship at the center of the trial, the role that he says race played, and why he didn't take the stand. Why did you decide you wanted to talk now?
I felt like it was time. A lot has happened in my personal life, in my career, in the culture. And conversely, the impact of this is about responsibility and coming forward and being brave and giving my part of the story.
In an ABC News exclusive, actor Jonathan Majors sat down with me in his first interview since a jury handed down a guilty verdict for reckless harassment, a misdemeanor, and a violation of harassment in the second degree.
You know, I haven't seen my daughter in a long time. You know, and a lot of it has to do with this situation. It all has to do with this situation, and she needs to see this. And the hard things need to be done, but it's been hard. You know, everything's kind of gone away.
Everything has gone away. Hopefully, he has saved enough money from the past roles, and he can invest it in something, whether real estate or something to his liking that he can invest in. But it's kind of sad, isn't it, that he was fast rising as a matter of fact, and it was taken from him overnight. Almost as if the powers that be just want to mess with him. And they do too, not only him, but other people also, other stars and rising stars. They will pull that rug from under you in the blink of an eye if there's any scandal attached to you. And this is why you do not lavishly spend your money, because you don't know when the rug is going to be pulled. You kind of squirrel your nuts away, save for a rainy day, and invest. Be your own boss. So we don't know. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse that everything was taken from him. Maybe, just maybe, he's going to rise above this. Now he's hoping that after everything dies down, he can get back into acting, but he doesn't know if they're going to call him ever again. So he's in limbo. Let's continue with ABC.
The 34-year-old actor was a rising star, known for his roles in HBO's Lovecraft Country, Creed 3, and Marvel productions like last year's Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. And it was on that movie set back in 2021 where he met 30-year-old British dancer Grace Jabari. The pair dated until March of 2023 when Majors called 911 the day after a fight that was caught on surveillance video.
What happened exactly? Do you know?
No, I don't know. She's unconscious. She's my ex-partner. We broke up. I came back. She sent me text messages insinuating as much. I stayed in a hotel last night. I came home this morning.
Police found Jabari on the closet floor of their apartment. Majors was arrested by New York City police, accused by Jabari of assault, strangulation, and harassment, convicted last month, but acquitted of 1 count of assault and 1 count of aggravated harassment, meaning the jury didn't believe he assaulted her intentionally. Your reaction to that verdict?
Shock. I was absolutely shocked and afraid. I'm standing there, and the verdict comes down. I say, how is that possible? Based off the evidence, based off the prosecution's evidence, let alone our evidence. How is that possible?
After the verdict, in a statement, Jabari's attorney wrote in part, "Justice was finally served today, proving that the truth can prevail even in the face of power. Grace did not choose to be in this situation. Grace has been publicly attacked as a result of her courage to testify to the truth, but her unwavering resolve to see this case through to the end was born out of her desire to give other survivors similar courage when justice requires." The prosecution has described your relationship with Grace Jabari as tumultuous and abusive. How would you describe that 2-year relationship?
I loved Grace. Our relationship was, it was not healthy, and that began to reveal itself over time, but there was no abuse.
In court, Jabari claims she sustained head injuries, but never said how she received them. Entered into evidence these partially redacted text messages from September of 2022.
Hit the like bell as you come onto the page, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so as yet.
Majors writes, "It's just fake. And I fear you have no perspective of what could happen if you go to the hospital. They will ask you questions. And as I don't think you actually protect us, it could lead to an investigation, even if you do lie and they suspect something." Jabari responds in part, "I will tell the doctor I bumped my head. If I go, I'm going to give it one more day, but I can't sleep and I need some stronger painkillers. That's all. Why would I want to tell them what really happened when it's clear I want to be with you?"
This is literally a nightmare. I don't know what happened. I don't know what injuries you're talking about.
The July incident, 2022, where she says you started throwing things, including a candle. Tell us what happened there.
We were in an argument. I was on the other side of the room, away from her, as I think she testified. And by my bedside table, I did a sweep, and I knocked over my candles. I completely lost my temper in that moment and threw it all on the ground. What she also said is that afterwards I wept and cried in the corner and said I was sorry and this. And I was, and I am.
The prosecution said you allegedly wrote, "I'm a monster, a horrible man, not capable of love. I'm killing myself soon. I've already put things in motion." Were you suicidal?
Hit the like bell as you come onto the page, and subscribe if you haven't done so as yet. Thank you.
I've been diagnosed with severe depression, and I'm taking the steps needed to alleviate, some of those symptoms, ideations of removing myself from situations permanently is a thought that I've had, since I was a kid.
Sounds like if he needs some real therapy and some medications in place, because depression is no joke. There are a lot of sufferers out there, and people suffer in silence. They're not on any medication, they've never been diagnosed, but yet they feel as though life is really not worth sticking around. He says he's been diagnosed with severe depression, and that is very debilitating for some people. Some people stay in the bed for weeks at a time, months at a time, because they have no willpower to be productive in society and to do anything for themselves and their families. A lot of people suffer in silence, unfortunately, without any medication, without any relief.
It all came to a head in March of last year when Jabari and Majors got into a fight, much of it captured on surveillance video and used as evidence in the trial. Jabari testified that it all began when Majors received a text from another woman. He says it read, "Oh, how I wish to be kissing you." So let's go back to March 25th for a moment. You and then girlfriend Grace Jabari are in the backseat of a chauffeured car. She sees a text from another woman. Things seem to spiral from there. Yeah. What happened next?
Yeah, the text from another woman. Again, I said at the beginning, I did that. I cop to it. I show her, right? It's in my hand. She grabs it. We scuffle for the phone. I pull the phone back. I receive my injuries. I open the door. I step out. She comes. Then one of the biggest mistakes of my life, I pick her up. I put her back in the car. I'm trying to get rid of her. I'm trying to get away from her. As the video shows, everything calms. We get out. We walk across the street. I escort her across the street. The moment we get across the street, she grabs me. She goes for the phone. I get free of her and I run.
For blocks?
Yeah, for blocks.
Surveillance video also shows Jabari talking to 3 strangers. She testified they offered to get her home. One of the bystanders can be seen speaking to Majors, who gestures for Jabari to get back into the car. He eventually leaves without her and goes to a hotel for the night. Jabari leaves with the bystanders. She says inside the car, you hit her in the face,
Yeah.
twist her arm behind her back, fracture her middle finger.
Yeah, that did not happen.
What happened?
She went to grab the phone. I held the phone. I pulled the phone back. She came on top of me, squeezed my face, slapped me.
Don't forget to hit the like bell as you come onto the page and subscribe if you haven't done so as yet. Thank you.
That's all I remember.
So she ends up with a 1-inch cut behind her ear.
Laceration, yes, ma'am.
Fractured finger.
Yeah.
How did those injuries come about?
I wish to God I knew. That would give clarity. That would give me some type of peace about it.
But you're confident you didn't.
I have no question.
What's interesting about the jury's verdict, it's so nuanced because they're saying you didn't intend
Right.
to injure her.
Right.
But the result of your recklessness injured her.
Right.
Were you reckless?
I was reckless with her heart,
Not with her body.
not with her body.
But never hit a woman.
Never hit a woman. My hands have never struck a woman. Ever. When the actual testimony came, the driver said, she did everything, meaning Grace. He did nothing, referring to myself.
Perhaps that was the car scene. But what about the apartment scene? What did he do? We don't know. But how come he got convicted and she was let go? So obviously the evidence did not prove his innocence.
Majors claims Jabari attacked him, ripping his coat, scratching his face and arm. These are photos, he says, are of his injuries, but were deemed inadmissible in court.
My injuries were a scratch on my hand, from clawing for the phone. And I had a gash on at the time I had a beard. Under my beard, I had essentially a fingernail scratch on my cheek from pressure,
You chose not to take the witness stand. Why?
Yes, ma'am. The driver.
You felt that was compelling enough. He had said enough.
Well, not just the driver. She was doing everything, he was doing nothing. Well, that's what I was going to say. Mr. Majors, did you see any injuries on her? No, I didn't. Clinical experts, the detective I spoke to, all who testified before I did. But after all of that, what was I going to add?
Jonathan, how do you feel right
During the trial, an audio recording was presented in court by the prosecution of Jonathan Majors and Grace Jabari during an argument.
How dare you come home drunk and disturb the peace of our house? Coretta Scott King. You know who that is? That's Martin Luther King's wife. Michelle Obama. Barack Obama's wife. My temper, my shit, my travel, blah, all that said, right? And I'm not saying I'm a great man. A great man. I am doing great things, not just for me, but for my culture and for the world. That is actually the position I'm in. The woman that supports me, that I support, that needs to be a great woman.
There are some who question, especially in the Black community, as you're probably well aware, that people were saying, well, why was he telling this woman to be like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama? Give us the context of the conversation.
It was me trying to give an analogy of what it is I'm aspiring to be. These great men. Martin.
Like, share, and subscribe. As you come onto the channel, hit that like bell And subscribe if you haven't done so as yet. Thank you.
President Obama, in trying to give a reference point to that. I was attempting, and I did a terrible job at it, apparently. I was attempting to motivate, to enlighten, to give perspective as into what it is I was hoping to get out of the relationship. I think that's fair.
In her closing argument, your attorney said that your greatest fear of being a black man in America calling 911 came true, suggesting that race was a part of this. Do you feel that race is a part of this?
I mean, of course it is, like, without question. I mean, that quote unquote guilty verdict, guilty verdict, no quote unquote, like, you might as well put that on my birth certificate.
You think a white man facing the same allegations would have been arrested, charged, convicted?
I'll take it further. If you watch those videos and you reverse that, and you saw a black man chasing a young white girl down the street, screaming and crying, that man is going to be shot and killed in the streets of New York City. That black man will feel that.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office responded saying in part that they do their speaking in court. Jabari's attorney responded to this interview saying it is not at all surprising that Mr. Majors continues to take no accountability for his actions. His denigration of our jury system is not dissimilar from the above-the-law attitude that he has maintained throughout this legal process. The timing of these new statements demonstrates a clear lack of remorse for the actions for which he was found guilty and should make the sentencing decisions fairly easy for the court. Mr. Jabari will continue to speak the truth and seek justice in the appropriate forums in a continued effort to respect our legal process.
So now I'm wondering, had he not called the cops, if this would have been the outcome? Because we know for so many black men, when they call the cops for help, a lot of times they end up getting arrested. And this is why he said he made a mistake by picking her up and putting her back in the car. He should have left her in hindsight. I guess hindsight is 2020. The minute he picked her up, she cried assault because he put his hands on her. And she could always say, well, he picked me up and slammed me in the car. He picked me up and when he put me in the car, he, hurt me. She could say a number of things, which she did. So in hindsight, he said that was his error in picking her up and putting her back in the car. And another thing he said was that he made the call to get help. And the cops came and they arrested him. That has happened so many times with a lot of black men. So I wasn't surprised when he said that. And again, a lot of people are not surprised either. But isn't it a shame that you call the cops for help because the situation is getting out of control. This person is beating up on you. You can't hit them because you're going to get arrested. And when the cops do come out, they arrest you because the person who is a female say, you put your hands on them, you being the man. And they show all these bruises, but it's not for sure, it's not certain who did the assault, who did all this bodily injury, because you can get hurt beating up on someone. If you throw a punch at the person and you miss them and hit a wall or furniture, anything heavy, you can obtain some damages. So her knuckles or her finger was cut, I believe, and she had some type of laceration behind the ear, which he didn't know how she got that. And I'm sure she probably told the courts how she got it. She said he's the one who did it. He does not recall doing it. And so it was his word against hers. And she had the bruises to prove that she was assaulted. But like I said, her having bruises does not mean that he assaulted her. A lot of times if you are beating up on someone and you miss and you hit something or in the heat of beating up on the person, you can actually hurt yourself in the heat of the moment. But I'm not making excuses for him. I'm not making excuses for her. I'm glad it's over and he's just waiting for sentencing.
Grace, as you know, has been was arrested and charged for assault, but will not face prosecution.
Right.
You have thoughts on that?
That's hurtful. That's really hurtful. And why is it hurtful? Because, again, I know what happened. Movies don't matter. Work don't matter. Yale education doesn't matter. In that moment, what I felt was, oh, I'm nothing.
Throughout the trial, Major's girlfriend, actress Megan Good, was right by his side. She was also present for our conversation. You've mentioned Megan a few times.
Yeah.
We've seen her right by your side, going in and out of court throughout the whole trial.
Yeah.
How would you describe your relationship?
It's a miracle. She's an angel. She's held me down like a caretta, you know. I'm so blessed to have her, you know. The relationship is still fresh, but, you know, I think I found her. Yeah.
The one.
I hope she just stick with me.
Major's career as a rising Hollywood actor is now in limbo. Future appearances playing Kang the Conqueror in the Marvel Cinematic Universe have been scrapped. You hear the verdict
Yeah.
the same day Marvel drops you. Your reaction?
Same hour. Same half hour, I think. It's like the world stopped.
Mm.
You know? It's like you work so hard for things. And then, you know, it's done, you know? And in that same breath, I thought, man, that was cool.
Don't forget to hit the like bell as you come onto the page and subscribe if you haven't done so as yet.
How so?
I was a supervillain, you know? And I got to play multiple characters, you know, with a group of people that really cared nothing about anything else except making really cool movies and giving their actors whatever they need to tell those stories. And I'm so proud of it.
You think you'll ever work in Hollywood again?
Yeah, I do. I pray I do. But it's God's plan and God's timing.
For those who say, look, he's convicted at this point, what would you say? I mean, do you deserve a second chance?
I think I do. I think I do. I hope other people think that.
Majors is set to be sentenced next month, but says he and his legal team plan to appeal.
So guys, drop your comments. What do you think about this interview? Does he deserve a second chance? Let me know. Drop it in the comments. I'm over and out. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching.